Christmas night can bring incredible surprises and life-changing encounters. Before we find out what happened, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss our future wonderful stories. But now, let's take a few steps back in the story. It was Christmas Eve, and Nurse Sylvia, a big-hearted, brown-haired woman, was preparing to face another night of work at the hospital. The disappointment of not being able to celebrate with her family weighed on her, but duty called. Sylvia was a mother of 3, and with the determination of someone who puts love first, she had spent the last week looking for gifts for them. The streets of the city were crowded with busy people, all looking for that perfect last gift. Sylvia had thrown herself into this frenzy, navigating among the glittering shop windows with the sharp gaze of a treasure hunter. Each shop seemed like a small, enchanted world, full of promises and hopes. The Christmas decorations shone like stars, lighting up the smiles of adults and children. Finally, after a long day, she managed to find the desired gifts: shirts for her children, pants for her husband, and a shiny dress for herself. With a satisfied smile, she started to leave the store, but something caught her eye. In the corner, leaning against the wall, was a pregnant woman with a pale face and an expression of deep concern. Sylvia, following her nursing instincts, approached gently. "Are you okay? I think you should sit down and drink some water," she said reassuringly. The woman, relieved by Sylvia's concern, let herself be led to a quiet corner of the store. "My name is Laura," she whispered in a thin voice. "Thank you for your help." The two women began to chat. Laura, who had moved to the city a few months earlier, was alone because her husband was away on a business trip. Sylvia spoke about her experiences as a mother, and Laura, fascinated, absorbed every word. It seemed like the beginning of a beautiful friendship. They spent time together chatting, but unfortunately, in the confusion of the holidays, they did not exchange phone numbers. The next day, Sylvia was on shift at the hospital. Her boss called her into his office. "Sylvia," he said in a serious tone, "I need you to work on Christmas Eve too." The news broke her heart. Sylvia had prepared for a special evening with her family, but she couldn't shirk her duties. With a forced smile, she accepted the shift, hiding her disappointment. Christmas Eve arrived, and Sylvia, with a lump in her throat, prepared dinner and organized everything for her children. She put on her uniform, gave her loved ones a long hug, and set off for the hospital. The night was strangely quiet, and an unusual silence enveloped the building. Sylvia felt empty inside, but she tried to focus on her patients. During a break, Sylvia decided to go out for some fresh air and call home to make sure everything was okay. The biting cold of the winter night made her shiver. Her mind was focused on her children, imagining them opening presents without her. As she was about to make the call, an ambulance arrived with sirens blaring. Sylvia rushed to the entrance and, to her surprise, recognized Laura among the patients. Laura had been in a car accident and needed an emergency delivery. Sylvia's heart pounded as she watched the medical team struggle to stabilize Laura and her newborn. With a lump in her throat, Sylvia took the baby in her arms. The newborn was crying desperately, deprived of the comfort of his mother. Sylvia remembered a lullaby that Laura had mentioned to her during their meeting and began to sing softly. The melody sounded sweet and familiar, enveloping the little one in a reassuring embrace. If you like the video, give it a precious like and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. The baby's crying gradually calmed down, wrapped in the familiar melody. Sylvia stayed by the little one's side all night, feeding him and changing his diapers. She felt a deep connection with that little being, as if he were her own son. The hours passed slowly, and every moment seemed eternal. Every breath of the little one was a prayer, every movement a sign of hope. Laura, in the meantime, was fighting for her life, but the doctors finally managed to stabilize her. On Christmas morning, Sylvia received news that filled her heart with hope. Laura had woken up. With a heart full of gratitude, Sylvia decided to make one last visit to Laura's room before finishing her shift. She entered and saw a touching scene. Laura, awake and smiling, holding her newborn baby in her arms, while her husband, who had just arrived, held her hand with eyes full of tears of joy. "I don't know how to thank you," Laura said, her voice shaking. "You saved my son and gave me the strength to fight. I will never forget you." Sylvia, her eyes shining, replied, "It was a Christmas miracle. I'm happy I could help." The two women finally exchanged phone numbers, promising to stay in touch. When she left the hospital, Sylvia felt light-hearted. She had sacrificed her Christmas night, but she knew she had accomplished a mission of love and compassion. When she arrived home, she found a surprise. Her family was waiting for her with their elegant clothes and the table decorated for Christmas dinner. "Mom, put on your new dress and let's celebrate together," one of her sons exclaimed enthusiastically. Sylvia, her heart filled with gratitude, put on her shining dress and joined her family. Christmas morning turned into a celebration of love, togetherness, and the true essence of Christmas. As they shared laughter and hugs, Sylvia felt that every sacrifice she had made had been rewarded. The house was filled with warmth. The lights of the Christmas tree were shining, reflecting in their eyes full of joy. That night in the hospital had strengthened Sylvia's belief that Christmas is not just a time of celebration, but an opportunity to give, share, and be present for others, even at the cost of sacrificing one's own special moments. And his family's surprise upon his return was the icing on the cake of a truly unforgettable Christmas. Do you think the true spirit of Christmas lies in giving and sharing, even at the cost of giving up personal moments?